Welcome to Cinema Snacks as we discuss my favourite Star Wars film, Return of the Jedi. Hello and welcome back to Cinema Snacks. We are going to talk about one of my favourite films which battles it out for the Dark Knight in this film. Ooh. Star Wars, Return of the Jedi. I mean, where do I start? I have
Job.
He's with me to discuss this. Scott is in the Outer Rim of the Star Wars universe.
Yes, we got him removed out from the pavement, and now he's gone on a kind of, not quite Quantumania sort of adventure journey, but some old wizened magician kind of came up to him, told him he's like the one, and then they went off into space.
Yeah. Apparently they've also got to pull a sword out of a stone there, but the problem is Scott is smaller than the stone.
And the sword.
So, I'm going to spit a load of facts out at the start about this film because I have fun researching this.
Mm-hmm.
So, the original directors for this film that he wanted were Steven Spielberg.
I just want to highlight the look on his face as he's about to say this. Not that it's a negative, but there's a lot of excitement in this.
Oh, so much. So, Steven Spielberg was the original choice and he wanted to do it, but once again, the Directors Guild made it difficult.
Mm-hmm.
David Lynch.
Oh.
David Cronenberg.
Oh.
And Ivan Kershner, who directed Empire, declined to come back.
Okay.
And in the end, he went for Richard, and I'm going to try to say Marquand was the director he chose, a little-known English director. Mm-hmm. And his opening said, he enjoyed directing it, but it was like trying to do the school thing, trying to be like trying to do a test with like the expert in that field next year.
Yeah.
Because George was known to be on set quite a lot. So in early drafts of this film, Yoda wasn't in it.
Okay.
In the first 3 drafts of this film, Han Solo died.
Okay.
And that was at Harrison Ford's constant request.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I heard originally that when they were doing like the script reading, he was reading certain lines during the script reading for the auditions because that's what his job was, and then they basically hired him the short version.
So they were using Harrison Ford for the actors to act off for the line read.
Yeah.
But they couldn't find anyone who filled that part for him, so originally George fought to get him the part, and it worked out well for him because Carrie Fisher and Mark were tied to 3 film deals. So, and yeah, when you look at the percentage points like Mark got for it, I thought Mark only got 0.25% of A New Hope. Mark got it over all 3 films.
Oh, okay.
And there's variables about he gets it for like film releases, but he didn't get it for like TV release. Basically, I worked out Mark has made somewhere around the realms of like, I think it was like $30 million from his 0.25% of the original trilogy.
Damn.
Oh, and he has a unique thing that he wanted one of everything with his face on.
Makes sense.
So toys and merch. He thought there'd be a couple of things. He's like, every year there's like a UPS van pulls up and he said it's like Fantasia. Like he just sees them all coming in like But they said that its collection in itself is worth a fortune.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So, do you think his family will then inherit all of the in the next generation when they make more Star Wars stuff with Mark Hamill's face?
Yes, because the same thing that with Alec Guinness's estate.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Percentage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's part of it. The Ewoks were inspired by events that had happened in the Vietnam War, so the little guys taking on the big.
Yep.
And if you want to see a brilliant moment aside from this, a couple of years ago they had James Cameron speaking to George Lucas. And I found it fascinating how much James Cameron had kind of missed of George's vision, because he's like, oh yeah, like the rebellion are like the Americans, they're the heroes, and he was like,
are they?
He's like, I don't know. He's like, see, when I thought the Ewoks, they were more like the Viet Cong fighting back America.
Yeah.
And then he gave another example, and you could see James Cameron's face being like, but America are always the heroes, and George was like, no.
So actually, I've got to tell
I have one last fact.
Go on.
Actually, I have 2. Alec Guinness filmed all his parts in one day.
Makes sense.
And do you know any people actually play Vader in this film? Because one of them never gets enough credit.
Okay, so obviously you've got Dave Prowse as the physical... hold on, let me finish. You've got Dave Prowse as known to be the physical body.
Did I mention I've met him?
As have I.
Oh, there we go.
We were... So he was sitting in a very equal position. So like... okay, maybe there's more than one. But yeah, we both met him.
Joe, yeah. I'm the one who does famous name drops.
I know, I'm just saying I was there. Remember I was there?
You're the face in the social media. I'm the name drop. That's my part.
Yeah.
But yes, David Prowse.
And James Earl Jones is the voice. So I'm guessing we're talking a couple of body doubles.
Well, when his mask is removed,
I was going to say
that's by the actor Sebastian Stan.
Yeah, I was going to say because I was like, that doesn't quite.
Because Prowse was quite annoyed it wasn't him that had been in the part, but George has a thing about not always doing the body and the voices is the same person.
I guess that would make sense.
Because originally that wasn't the plan for the Emperor. The Emperor was going to be voiced by someone else, but Ian McDiarmid got close to the voice that had been in Empire.
Okay.
But the person who doesn't get anywhere near enough credit is Bob Anderson, was the fourth one, who does a lot of the fighting as Vader.
Okay, that
especially
makes sense.
near the end, because the fight between Luke and Vader is a lot bigger and a lot more choreographed. So yes, he was the fourth person who plays Vader in this who doesn't get enough credit, and of course James Earl Jones.
Of course, yeah. So basically body double. It's like stunt double, is it? It would have been like a stunt double sort of thing.
And that is all my little facts to start with. Job, you can talk again.
So this is more of a funny thing for me because I couldn't remember the name because I watched this morning. So because I couldn't remember,
great sacrifice.
Yes. So because I forgot they were called Ewoks, I kept referring to them as the Ruggles.
Do you know they're not actually called Ewoks in the film?
I know, that's my point. So I'm sitting there like they've not actually mentioned what they're called. So I just called them the Ruggles because I couldn't remember, which is a reference from fans of like internet celebrities.
Now, if you watch this with subtitles on Disney Plus, it says they speak Ewok knees.
Nice.
It's
kind of lazy, really.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was actually from like the book "Save the Galaxy." We'll save the galaxy for cash. They've got a character called the Ruggles who are very Ewokian. And isn't Warwick Davis one of the Ewoks?
Wicket.
Yes, the one that they first meet and is kind of pops up throughout.
Do you know how we found out about that part?
Gone.
His nan was looking through the newspapers and there was a thing saying that they were casting for new characters and needed small people for it, so he went down as a 12-year-old and auditioned.
Yeah, I was going to say he was like 12 years old or something.
Yeah.
I've watched video footage from around that era when he's like getting in costume and really excited. And
so you will hear me rib this film, but this film plays a very important part in my life because the first conversation I ever had with my future wife, first proper one, was about Return of the Jedi in a pub. Job was there, and I always remember this moment very vividly because it was usual pub questions for a bunch of introverts and nerds. It was, what was your favourite Star Wars film? Now, everyone said Empire Strikes Back, which is not generally the right answer. Me and Em both went Return of the Jedi, and we literally turned and looked at each other, and I went, what's your favourite part? And she went, Ewoks, and I went, I love the end battle. And then Job turned around and went, I quite like it too. We literally both stared at you, didn't say a word, and then turned back and we spoke honestly like 30 minutes just talking about Return of the Jedi. And I'd spoke to Em before briefly, but that was the first big conversation we had. I always remember it was like a moment of like, this is like the big icebreaker between me and my future wife.
Yeah.
So yes, it holds a special, special place in my head because it's the first big conversation I had with my wife.
Oh, there you go.
Who Job kind of knows.
Yeah. Tangentially.
Briefly.
Yeah.
So, Return of the Jedi, the film. I mean, where do we start? I suppose at the start and we're duck in and out of the narratives and
I'd
just
say
me
so.
fanboying.
Pretty much.
And well, you watched this morning. Tell me how it starts, Joe, because I often confuse the first big two scenes in my head.
To be fair, so do I. So it starts with R2 and 3PO.
See, I thought it's the ship where you see. No, you're right. I think because I watched this yesterday. It still plays.
I've watched this morning, and no, you're right. It does. No, so my first note. No, actually, yeah, it does start with the ship. Because my mind goes straight to the first bit narrative. Yeah, it is the ship, the Star Destroyer. Because my first note is, how long did the troops have to wait in line before Vader left?
It looks brilliant though, doesn't it?
And
when he lands.
So this is the thing I've got in my notes as well, where we're so pop culturally we are used to the Death Star and imagining something the size of a moon, which functionally there's probably not enough material to actually make, but the fact that these Star Destroyers and the slightly smaller ones as well, but the fact that they're that big as well, I mean, if we're considering a lot of these smaller craft are the size of like the average, maybe like slightly larger than a car, right, at the smallest, average of a car, van, and they're going into these ships that are like the size of massive buildings.
Yeah.
The mere scale of just their standard ships compared to the Death Star is just mind-blowing anyway. And when you see him fly in, land, and then obviously there's a bit of time passing before he comes out, and I'm sitting there like, well, those troops weren't there when he landed, and now was he sitting for like 5 minutes like...
Yes. Do not set up. I will not come out until they are ready.
Exactly. And it's like, I'm like, oh, damn, Vader, quick, guys, quick, hurry up, he's here. He's sitting there waiting.
It looks visually stunning, though, doesn't it? All of them sectioned out.
So one of the things about all of these films is the fact that the visuals for, I think I said this in the last one, the ships are really cool. The ships are always cool designs anyway, but the interior of the Death Star, the interior of these ships, of the Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
I
could have helped you, but I chose not to.
I know. But the inside of the Star Destroyers, the Millennium Falcon, the inside of all of the environment, the internal environments of all of these craft are unique in and of themselves, and are just once again really cool and just shows the diversity of this galaxy. Because I'm not going to say universe really, because it's all galaxy, but the fact is they've got all of these different levels of technology, all of these forms of sophistication. You know, the Millennium Falcon looks like it's put together with a box of scraps in a cave.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and that's what makes it charming. Whilst the Empire's ones are very kind of dark and very official, whilst the Rebellions have sleek white and very clean and kind of like hospital-like. I can't quite remember the word, but the interiors of all of these sort of craft I always think look really good.
I love a moment in this film, and I think it kind of sets up a big moment in the film. So Vader comes down and he's like, are we proceeding on plan? He's like, yeah, but we're slightly behind. And he's like, why? And so he can't expect us to do this. And he's like, oh, well, you can tell the Emperor yourself, and you just see the colour drain. He's like, the Emperor's coming here.
The line was, he's asked, because what I like
he's
is...
He's asking the impossible, isn't it?
But he's saying it with, like, desperation, not with, like... Because he's obviously aware who he's talking to, but it's like... But it's like he's trying to level with Vader. It's like, he's asking us to do stuff we can't do. And it's fair, but it's like, look, he's asking us to do things we can't. And it's like, oh, you have to bring it up with him. It's like, damn. But yeah.
I love that actor. That actor sells it so well. He's coming here.
Yeah. Like, yep.
He's like, I ain't covering for you guys anymore.
Yeah.
Then we go to our favourite couple walking through the desert.
The best couple in cinema. One of the best. They should be in the top 10 best couples in cinema history.
And we have a fun game when I watch this with them. Is try to imagine what R2's actually saying to him. It's probably the best game. It's
probably something like, damn, it's hot. Why am I in this suit? Why is this taking so long?
I know, I just meant like actual if R2 the robot is like, where's Master Luke sent us? He's like, I don't know, he just sent us here, you dumb son of a bitch. Like, you can just imagine he's always swearing.
Yeah, that's true. Even when he's talking to Luke through the X-Wing and it's kind of got the text up on screen, it's still not in English either.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, you're right, he could just be saying... So, to be fair, so with Chewbacca. But I'd imagine what Han is replying to is as close to reality, at least whilst R2, yeah.
Well, there's a moment where he reacts to what Chewbacca said, which is always kind of fun in this film. But they are going to Jabba's palace, who, depending what version, as you talked about in the last one. So when this originally came out, no one had seen Jabba the Hutt.
Yes, because...
These scenes were filmed for A New Hope, but they weren't originally in it. But it was a decision made later to put in for the story, which is one of those edits I think makes sense.
Yeah, because they didn't, as far as I understand, they didn't quite have the technology when they first recorded it to make it look good.
Yeah, there was shot with a person as Jabba. I'm pretty sure there was a shot with it, someone like with the puppet, and then there's a CGI version.
Yeah. So
it was intended to be in, but they changed it. But when redoing it, they decided to put it back in. But we go to Jabba's palace and C-3PO's chatting away, and I love something about C-3PO that really shows in this. Like, I believe R2 is dedicated to the cause of the rebellion.
Yeah.
C-3PO would take the easiest one and change sides to preserve his life as quickly as possible.
The thing is,
And it proves it in this, and it proves how little they actually tell C-3PO.
Oh no, definitely. So, because I basically just put in my notes, R2-D2 doesn't give a shit.
Yeah,
he just does not care. Whilst, I feel sorry for 3PO because you said no one tells him anything. But to be fair, he probably can't actually. There's no point in telling him anything because he's not actually going to be able to do anything. Plus, the less people know of a thing, the more people know of a plan, the more likely it is to go wrong. So he can't actually do anything.
I know, but it's so little. So they go to Jabba's palace, and my favourite line of dialogue C-3PO ever says, because even when I watched it the first time, it makes me chuckle, is like, he's going to speak Huttonese.
Yes.
And the line he says, allow me to speak to him, R2, C-3PO and R2D Toa. Jabba the Hutt.
Yes.
And he's like, wait, that's Huttonese. You just put an O.
O and R, yeah.
So, and he lets him in, and you just, it's like, even the small parts, like, one of the many reasons I love this film. So 3PO's like, I don't think they're going to... And then the door opens. C-3PO is very cautiously going in. R2's like, go on, let's go in. Just flies off.
As I said, he does not care.
Wait for me, R2. And they go to speak to Jabba because Bib Fortuna? Is Jabba's number 2, tries to get the message, and 3PO's like, no, he says he has to deliver it to Jabba the Hutt himself. Yeah.
But then for something like that, it could be one of two things. Either like, no, give it to me, wink, wink, for power. Or just a case of like, no, Jabba the Hutt doesn't see anyone unless he specifically is asked to do so. Yeah. So it could be either way.
But R2 just scurries off.
Yeah, it's like, screw you, mate. I got my... screw you, bitch. I got my own things. Giving him the middle finger.
He's like, it's hot and I just want to speak to him. So then they go into Jabba's thing, Jabba's palace. And they show the message, and we see Luke in his black outfit for the first time.
Now, as far as I understand, in general Star Wars lore, because this is some of the stuff I kind of dip my toe in, it's kind of Jedi very rarely wear all black, and that tends to be a Sith thing. And so technically, that's already... So some people read that as it's already implied that he's already on the dark side. But on the same token...
I want to get my bubble pipe out when you finish.
Okay, but I was going to say, but on the same token, there's only like one other Jedi in the entire galaxy. So it's not like he can be directed on here is what... in all of the practice. In fact, if I understand it correctly, outside of maybe Obi-Wan's ghost, he's not actually seen... Because he's not seen Yoda at this. He's not gone back to Yoda yet, has he? So anything, all of the Jedi stuff he's doing is either taught himself or from Ben. So like the Force choke and stuff. So a lot of the other cultural stuff he may not have necessarily been taught, which is why he's wearing black, just because it might be easier, but isn't necessarily something that most Jedi wear, as far as I understand.
That's correct. And there was also an element of what Mark thought, because he thought the end of Empire is like the film would be Luke slowly turning to the dark side because he feels that Obi-Wan and Yoda have betrayed him.
Yeah.
So there was an intentional small misdirect, especially offering R2 and C-3PO, that maybe he had gone a bit rogue. But I just think...
In fact, he's a Rogue One.
That was a moment's silence for that joke there.
Oh, actually, that's another side thing. I noticed that in one of the other films, they keep referring to each other as Rogue whatever number, but no one's called Rogue One. I noticed in episode 4.
Yeah. You got red one, gold one, blue one.
I think one of them they refer to each other by numbers, but none of them were Rogue One.
No, it's like red 5 standing by. Gold leader standing by.
I'm thinking one of the early ones then. Oh no, ignore me.
No, you just completely made me forget what I was going to say.
Java's Palace giving away the droids.
Yeah, and you see, so R2 knows
exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because R2, if he would have called out, R2 would have been like, bitch, please, I'm not sending that, you are selling me. And he's probably been like, no, it's all part. Because he would have already put the lightsaber in him for what we said later on.
Exactly.
C-3PO's like, what? No, there must be a mistake.
But actually, here's the best part. Now, because obviously he's not been told any of this. His reactions, I think if they had told him what was going on, his reactions wouldn't be genuine. But then, to be fair, but then it also works once again as an audience. This is kind of like, oh, okay, that's a bit weird.
And I'm going to do an aside. So there's lots of scenes and parts they reshot. There is one scene in this film I wish they would have put back in. So what was shot was Luke building his lightsaber. Okay. And this builds to a line later in the film, which I think would have been good. So, yeah, you actually see Luke constructing a lightsaber. God, I wish they would have put that in. I would have loved to have seen Luke building his lightsaber.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And it ties into, you can tell it was in the original draft with a line Vader says to him later. So they take him away, and I've got a fun note in here because it made me laugh, and I pointed that to everyone who's ever seen it. So he takes the droids down to get chipped.
Yep.
So
branded.
Yeah. So 3PO gets a restraining bolt. But the robot who's saying it to him, he's like, yes, put a restraining bolt on him. And then he goes. And this robot, the way he's speaking to R2 and the angle they give, this is a sexual harassment case waiting to happen.
Okay.
Because he's like, you're a feisty little one. I'll teach you some respect. And if you look at the angle, I swear to God, the robot pelvis is thrusting in the shot as you see R2.
Oh no!
And R2's like, you hear like a beep. It's like R2's going, HR. And then you see someone getting their feet burned, and you're like, what is this place? Although, it's the robot S&M club.
Although to be fair, I'm watching that like, why give robots pain receptors?
So watch back and you will see it. It's probably just an animatronic thing that's happening, but
he does go coincidence, yeah.
Like his pelvic is thrusting to R2 and he's like, you just see R2's like,
And we need a new protocol droid since the last one disappointed, and there's just this robot just being ripped apart. And I'm just like, who is this? Is that robot being tortured? Or is that robot just being branded? That robot's just being ripped asunder anyway. Oh no.
We go back into Jabba's palace then. And a certain Wookiee has been caught.
Indeed.
And we see C-3PO suddenly appear as translator for Between the Offer. They want 50,000 credits. He says he'll give them another amount.
Sorry.
And then he's like, no, they want the 50, otherwise they'll detonate this bomb. You see Jabba's like, I like this kind of scum, give him 35 and we'll take the Wookiee. And this is the first time that you get a nod to something's going on, because you suddenly see Lando in like
one of the guards' outfits.
You're like, hold on a second. So something's coming together. We see later on that the person has come back and they're unfreezing the carbonite statue. And we see Han drop to the floor. Oh God!
I've got one because he's up on the wall.
Yeah.
So he's hung solo.
Another moment's silence there.
And you can't kick me out. This is my house.
Maybe we can try. So, after that sad turn of events in this podcast, that joke. So we see Han coming out and he's like blind. He really looks a bit of a state. And the person's talking to him and he's like, it's in the robot voice and it pops off and it's
Leia.
It's Leia. And you feel like this is going to go well, and then you just hear the laugh, and even Han. I feel sorry for Han, like, he's got dropped in the thing, and the first thing he hears after coming out of carbon, like, within a minute is, ha, ha, ha.
And it's like, oh, no.
He's like, I recognise that voice. And then he's like, I was on my way to...
Well, I was on my way to you anyway, man. I got caught up.
Yeah. And then they chuck him into prison, and Leia gets put in an outfit, which is burned into my brain for the rest of my life. So,
thanks to social media, I always have this line in my head now, where apparently, I don't know how true this is, but apparently, it was someone said to Carrie Fisher, when you have kids and they see you in that outfit, what are you going to say to them? Do you know this one?
Not entirely.
So basically the line goes, what are your kids going to say? What are you going to say to your kids when they see you like that in that outfit? And then the quote goes, "I'm going to tell them that a nasty man put me in that outfit against my will for his own enjoyment."
That's fair enough.
And then afterwards I killed him.
That's a good closed loop of thing. But then we see, we then cut to another scene of a certain Jedi making his appearance now,
and he looks really cool.
Oh, I love that outfit. I remember like when we was going to Star Wars Celebration years and years ago. I wanted to dress like that, but then I realised I just could not pull it off.
No,
like especially I'm a follically challenged male, and that would not be a good look for me walking anywhere in all black with a shaven head.
I mean that is true. Although when we went to that was when I went to.
Yes, you got 2 sizes too small Mace Windu costume.
It wasn't 2 sizes too small. It fit me fine. Although I did have to bring my own leggings because the trousers.
Why is that? Why did you have to bring leggings?
So basically because
because they didn't do a 48-inch inside leg.
No, they didn't. It was all preset. Anyway. I'm trying to remember the name of that company. It was a good costume shop though, in West London. Yeah. What's it called?
It's where I got my Obi-Wan costume. We must sound like the coolest pair right now.
Oh man, who says ADHD is bad? But yeah, what was
saying about Luke's costume?
So Luke turns up, and once again, this is kind of like he does look kind of menacing because yes, he's wearing a cloak. But it's not like Obi-Wan's cloak. It's more like the Emperor's. And he's and he's now going and force choking people. So I was like, he must be quite dark at this point, or at least somewhere in the middle, because he's doing what Vader's doing. He's doing what his dad does, because now we know it's his dad.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that he goes in, he goes to Jabba's number 2, does the mind trick, and then goes into Jabba, tries it again, and Jabba's just like, mate, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I've got a stronger mind, which also which I think works with lore because it's the kind of thing where, it doesn't work on anyone, and it might be a case of Luke's not strong enough, or Jabba's will is strong enough that most Jedi probably couldn't do that to him in the past, because technically. Was it Jedi were around, only died out like 25 years ago, and Jabba's probably quite old, so he probably met Jedi previously, so...
Oh, he lives out in the Outer Rim, everyone passes through the Outer Rim.
Yeah, so he's probably met a few Jedi, and this kind of probably was never affected, which is how he knew about the mind trick in the first place.
But Luke tries to part with him, and they drop him in to fight the Rancor.
Which I loved the puppeteering and the movement of the Rancor. Looks really good. Looks terrifying. Yeah, his movements are a bit stop motion-y kind of, but considering the size of that sort of thing.
It's 1983. I will take a bit of puppetry work over CGC and
CGI. Yeah, I just think he looks really good and his movements are really good.
And Luke slays the Rancor.
much
to one guard's sadness.
I feel so bad for that guard. He's just so. I think it's one of those. He looks like he's one of those people who like raised the rancor when it was a tiny little pupa or whatever, and has just raised it from like infancy.
So, Jabba is absolutely incensed by Luke killing him, so he decides to give him a far worse punishment, him and Han. He's going to take him to a Sarlacc pit in the middle of the desert, and you can see Job's relief that I remember the name of the creature in the desert.
What did I say? Or did I forget?
No, it's earlier on where we was discussing. It's like the monster in the middle of the desert, and like the Return of the Jedi nerd in me is going, it's Sarlacc pit. Everyone knows it's a Sarlacc pit, right?
Once again, mind freeze.
I know, using the normal group here, everyone's like, no, it's a thing in the desert. I'm like, Sarlacc. It's one of the greatest films ever. How can I remember this scene by scene? I said I could have not watched this yesterday and talked about it.
Sarlacc, although I remember once saying something. I once said like, well, you're going to be dead within days. What does it matter if it's 1,000 years? And I think Emma at the time said, well, no, you're probably not going to be there 1,000 years. But it's still a pretty bad-sounding threat anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, that's fair.
And then one thing that always makes me smile is as they're about to be killed, there's a kind of nod that goes round.
I do want to add this thing. Everyone, at this point, everyone is there. So you've got C-3PO,
R2 serving drinks.
That's the thing. I love that R2 serving drinks, and he's got a drinks tray.
The question is like, what are you doing here? And he's like, basically,
I can see you're serving drinks. And I'm just like, I remembered. So what I used to do, if I was to watch a really good film and I think there were really great lines, I'd go downstairs and tell my dad some of these great lines because he's where I get most of my humour from. And this was just one of those films. Every time I'm like, oh, Daddy came out with a cracker this time.
But it's known for the nods because it's building something. It's like, doof. So I think it's Luke to Lando. Lando to R2. And then there's a cut of like hands like, what's happening?
Yeah, because at this point he's just about got his vision back.
And then Luke does like the best flip, like jumps off, pings himself back up. R2 has nodded and sent his lightsaber to him. A green one.
Yes.
To as I've always had fun. So people often ask about the different coloured lightsabers. And the reason this is green is it was harder to see on a blue background, and if you see the early posters, he's actually holding up a blue lightsaber.
Yes. So as far as from all of the years, this is how I heard why this one was particularly green, because of the blue background, and because of this now being green, someone then went, well, we might have to figure out a lore reason as to why it's green, and this is why there is now lore of different colour lightsabers.
But even then, there was only supposed to be 3. I found the ones online, so you had blue, red and green. It was originally supposed to be blue and red. Then it was blue, red and green. Then because of a game in the 90s, there was a yellow one.
Oh, okay.
And someone was like, here is what the colours mean. So it's like, red is Sith, blue is a Jedi, green is supposed to mean like a different kind of Jedi.
Yeah.
And then like you're expecting this big lore, it's like, yellow was because they made a game and wanted to put different colours in. It was like, white is the same reason. Purple is because Samuel Jackson wanted to spot himself in Attack of the Clones. Like, that's the reason for your lightsaber.
Yeah, the real reasons. And then they're going, we're now going to make lore.
But I love the whole barge desert thing. Like,
it's good.
I prefer the original Sarlacc monster, where it only had like 1 or 2 tentacles and far less teeth. But George likes the George things.
As I said, I've always seen it with a beak and teeth. And this is one of those things where I follow a couple of creators on YouTube, and one of them always says she doesn't like going back to her old work to add more to improve it.
So this is a director's thing, and I've had these conversations with people, because all directors say when they do a masterpiece, they don't see the things that they got right, they see the things that they wish they'd like to change. But as I've always said with George, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. We've all watched Jurassic Park. We know the line.
Like, we have skimmed completely over the horrible singing scene earlier on in Return of the Jedi, which was in it originally with animatronics, and I prefer that.
Yeah, I mean, but then we have the technology. I would like to have the option of. I remember, like back when we used to watch a lot of DVDs, you'd have the theatrical cut and like the DVD cut or whatever on the same disc.
Oh, I have an uber nerdy thing about the cuts of this though, which not a lot of people know.
So I would like to have the option. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do it all the time, but I'd like the option of like, I would like to see the 90s version or the original version where I can see the strings.
Well, Job and fellow listeners, I did a bit of research and I own this. So there was originally a DVD re-release of 2 cuts of each film. The George Lucas edited up 2000 version, but they also put, and it's not the greatest picture, but you can watch it, I think it's like the 1988 recuts.
Okay.
So a lot, like key thing, that's how I know the animatronics for the musicians in Jabba's Palace was actually there. That wasn't something they added later.
Okay.
And I know the celebration at the end is vastly different.
I've got a comment on
if
that
you
one.
search, you can find this set. It comes in a tin. And it is the only way I like the perspective is on it is awful.
Of course.
But you can watch the original closer to the original cut than you can anywhere else. But it is a bit of a find. You have to really keep an eye out for.
No, that's fair. But but because we've got like digital, because we can watch it on streaming, I would like that as an option. I don't mean like having to pay extra, but more like, here is the Star Wars, which Disney Plus. Here is your Star Wars. Which one do you want to watch?
But so the barge scene's wonderful. You see him taking them out, and as I watched and previous the other ones, when he hits, and this is what I loved about Boba Fett. He was a mystery in Episode 5. And he goes to attack and Han accidentally spears his jetpack and he goes into it. And that was the end of Boba Fett. That's all I needed. Yeah. And they didn't get him to speak a load of dialogue on his way down, which I was really happy about. And you got Luke just tearing his way through. Leia strangles Jabba the Hutt.
And there's a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah. And they're kind of taking out all Jabba's forces. Luke grabs Leia as he swings back from the barge. And a moment which makes me smile where C-3PO's like, what do we do? Go into the sand, and he's debating. R2 just whacks into him. Luke swings with Leia across the barge, and we see 2 robots get pulled out of the sand as they head back to where they originally were. And they then briefly separate again for Han and Leia to go back to the Rebellion's base, but Luke has to take a bit of a detour to see an old friend.
A very old friend.
Yes. And if we look as good as him at 900 years old.
Yes, that would be pretty good.
But he goes to see Yoda and he goes to speak to him and finish his training. And Yoda's so contradictory at this part, but I kind of love it. He's like, oh, your training's complete. He's like, I am a Jedi then. He's like, no, not a Jedi yet.
So, okay.
And then he milks the scene and this is like a meme in itself now, isn't it? He's like, you must face Vader, and he asks him if he's his father. And as Yoda's like dying, he's kind of opens up an eye. He's like, so yeah, he said.
Yeah.
He's like, yes. He's like, is he my father? And he's like, yes, he is. And then, so at that point, his training is almost complete.
Yeah.
Because he's got to go face Vader, and this is where I'm going to get really into this before we separate this into part 1 and part 2, because I read far too into this. So Yoda's really on his way out. He's like, I'm sick. We all know how he's going to go and everything, but he's like, you'll be the last Jedi, and he's like, no, there is another guy.
What?
And there's a lot of people have equated this to your kid's been asking you too many questions. It's easier just evaporate and die than keep asking them, answering them. And Yoda fades away, and then the most sarcastic of Obi-Wan moment. So Luke goes out and sees Obi-Wan's ghost. He's like, so Vader is my father. He's like, yes. He's like, but you said he killed my father. He's like, well, from my perspective, Darth Vader, so what I told you was right.
At a certain point of view.
And then he sits down and he's like, you're going to find there's a lot of things are perspective and the point of view.
Yeah.
So then he speaks to him, he's like, you must go. And I like this, and this really plays into Luke as a person against... Oh wait, Joe, you can go sort your dog. You won't be needed for the next 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So it shows why Luke, as a person, is learning the mistakes that the Jedi could not. So Luke, they tell him he has to kill Vader, and he's like, oh, I can't kill him there. So they go, well, then it's doomed. And he's like, no. He's like, it's my father, I can turn him back.
Yeah.
And Luke's natural affinity is to avoid violence. He doesn't want conflict. He sees the best in people.
Yeah.
And they haven't learned that, because this was their thing when we find out when they do the prequels.
Yeah.
But they fell because they were so strict on how to interpret the future and what needed to be done. They don't do it from a different perspective. And Luke's view is not as enrolled in the Jedi's training as
it's
it
not
thinks.
as rigid.
But that helps him defeat Vader, or will help him in his fight with Vader, because he's not doing it as black and white. And it's what I love about Luke. Obi-Wan was always my favourite, but I grow to like Luke as I get older, because he does it his own way. He trusts his instincts, and that does come into conflict with him, but he knows there's another way, and he will stand on his principles, and it's what really sets him apart as a character in it, and it comes into play in the final act. So you get 3 acts in the third act of this, but him with Vader, and it's a beautiful moment of this film, like how Vader and him are changing as it goes on into the next part. But then he goes back to see his friends with, as me and Job talked about in the other one, there's a moment with Obi-Wan speaking to Yoda, and they kind of know that there's another Skywalker, and he knows who it is now. Yeah. So Luke's now dealing with the conflict that his sister is Leia, and we're going to ignore the kiss in Empire Strikes Back.
Everyone does, in the film at least.
And I think maybe George knew at this point where he was thinking that, but I don't think he did. But we'll get to like that section in the next part. So they go back to Luke now is heading back to the rebellion. They found out that the generators at Endor, they're there
for the new Death Star.
They're like, we need a team, and Leia's like, I'll do it, and Han's like, I will, and Chewie almost has a go at him. He's like,
no.
What about me? He's like, well, I didn't want to volunteer you.
So the bit that I thought was good, and I think it's the first time I really noticed this, because I'm now kind of paying attention. Lando has been given a position to be in charge of a group. And obviously, which
I love, because Lando, you can see how far he's risen, to how far he's trusted now,
and also because Lando also had not just because, but then Lando has resources as well. So because he's now trustworthy, he can be put in that position because when he's trusted, and he has enough resources to be very useful. Yeah. And the fact that you've got Han going like, oh, they've made you a general, good luck with that one, and then they turn around and go, okay, and the leader for the other group, Han Solo, aren't you? And yep, that's me. And I'm just like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And everyone's like, you are? It's like, yeah, of course it is. Yeah. And then when there's a bit with Chewie, it's like, well, I didn't want to volunteer you. If you want to go, that's fine. And so when you look at the episode 5, where he's kind of at the beginning he's there, but he's kind of there until he needs to go, and that feels like, is he doing it because of that? You know, you're not quite sure if he's there, why he's there. But he is. Whilst this one is, he's literally like, oh no, I'm going to volunteer to do this, rather than being forced into that situation. And so this shows him really developing in the fact that he genuinely not just cares for Leia, but he cares for what's happening.
And we get our favourite Jedi strolls back in right at the last moment. Is that, well, don't go without me. Yeah. And for the first time in probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours of cinema, we see the whole band back together in one shot. Yeah. Because even when they're on the barge, they're still not all in the same shot. Like, Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie,
then
3PO and R2, like they're all in that. It's a sweet moment for me. And then, as we're going to wrap up the end of this part, we then see the teams divide, but the original guys are going to the 4th moon of Endor, the planet moon, while Lando is left to lead
the attack on
the Death Star 2. But we're going to wrap up this episode here. Joe, do the socials.
Yeah, so once again, if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram at CinemaSnacksPod and at TikTok at .cinema.snacks.pod. And also, don't forget to rate and review the podcast on your podcast platform. That helps the algorithm push our podcast so more people get to listen to it. So I've been Joe, the Lando Calrissian of this podcast, with all of the charisma, but not as much as the clothes that I would like.
He misspoke. He's the C-3PO of this podcast, and I am.
Go on then.
The Luke of this one, you know, the dashing Jedi Knight who's coming in to save the day. So until next time, Joe looks very, very sad as I dashed his dreams. You get Lando at the end of the next one.
I'll take it.
Until next time, unless you're listening to the YouTube video, which I'm probably just going to roll this all into one.
Makes sense. Bye.
Bye.